أهلا بكم أحبائنا المشاهدين في حلقة جديدة من برنامجكم علاجك في بيتك، واللي فيه بنعالج فيه نفسنا أو أجسادنا من أمراض أو من آلام بحاجات طبيعية وعلاجات بسيطة جدا موجودة في البيت. النهاردة هنتكلم عن الأعشاب، وحابين الأول نرحب بدكتور جويس. أهلا وسهلا بيكي معانا النهاردة في البرنامج. والنهاردة دكتور جويس هتكلمنا عن استخدامات الأعشاب. احنا في العادي عارفين إنه الأعشاب هي لتتبيل الطعام أو لأن هي تدينا طعم كويس للأكلات أو للخضروات، لكن النهاردة هنتعلم إزاي نعالج أو نستخدمها في علاجات بسيطة في البيت. دكتور جويس، تحبي تقولي لنا إيه النهاردة عن الأعشاب؟ احنا كنا في حلقات مختلفة اتكلمنا عن بعض منها، النهاردة نحب نبدأ من فين؟
I've gotten a lot of information from a book called Natural Remedies Encyclopedia, and they list 126 very important herbs. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to talk about the 5 most important ones, and 4 of them are familiar to this area, so we're going to concentrate on those 4. Mm-hmm. We've talked in other episodes about charcoal, but charcoal, although it's not an herb, it's a very important remedy. So I'll just say a few words about that, and then I'll talk about the next herb. And charcoal is made from wood that's been burned in the ground with very little oxygen, and because of that, it has a surface area that's very wide, and it can collect or bind things to it that we call adsorb. Charcoal is very important in poisoning. For instance, if we've eaten something that we shouldn't and we realize it's going to upset our stomach, or maybe it's even food poisoning, charcoal can be taken by mouth, a little bit of a spoonful of charcoal and water, and swallowed, and it's really going to be helpful. Also for gas, also for diarrhea, very important for diarrhea, or even vomiting, because there's a virus that can get adsorbed and removed from our body. Mm-hmm. So that's just in a nutshell, a little more about charcoal.
خلينا كمان نفكر المشاهدين بأنه ممكن يغير لون البراز بعد كده بعد ما نستخدمه أو نتناوله، فما يتخضوش أنه في حاجة غريبة ظهرت في اللون بتاع البراز بتاعهم، فيفتكروا أنه ده بيكون من لون الفحم نفسه هو اللي بيغير اللون مرات.
ودي حاجة طبيعية. It comes right through, and that's absorbing all of those poisons all through the intestinal tract, so that's very important.
بس حابين نوضح للمشاهدين أنه ياخدوا بالهم أنه ده شيء طبيعي، ما يدعوش للقلق يعني.
So charcoal is one of the 5 that are the most important listed in this book. 4 of them, including charcoal, are the ones that are familiar to this area.
طيب عايزين نعرف إيه الباقيين بقى اللي ممكن نعرفهم من الأعشاب.
So I'm going to tell you the number. So this is number 2, and this is the Cayenne Pepper. That's the next most important one that he lists. And there was a doctor who was an herbalist in the mid-1900s, and he said that if he had only 2 things that he could use, it would be charcoal and cayenne pepper. So he thought those were the 2 most important things. Internal, we can use it internally and externally. For internally, now there's a lot of things it's good for. And when I say all these lists of all these herbs of the things they're good for, people are going to say, oh, it's too much, too much. But there'll be one thing that will stand out to the person who needs it. So that's why I'm going through this whole thing. The person can hear, oh, that's good for that, and that's my problem, or that's so-and-so's problem. So let me just start. Arterial sclerosis, or now we call it atherosclerosis, arthritis, asthma, bleeding. In fact, if you put it on a wound, the bleeding will stop. High or low blood pressure, and otherwise it normalizes blood pressure. Bronchitis, chills, colds, convulsions, coughs, indigestion, infections, jaundice, ulcers, and varicose veins. So those are the internal.
طب ازاي بنستخدمه بقى على الاستخدام الخارجي ليه؟
Painful joints. You can dilute some in water and put it on painful joints. Swellings, varicose veins. When it's added to herbal formula, it stimulates the other herbs to be more active. It's a preventative for, excuse me, heart attacks. a little cayenne and water. If they feel chest pain, you can give them some by water right away and then take them to the hospital. And it will keep the vessels open until they can get some help. Flu, colds, indigestion, and lack of vitality. You can treat spleen, pancreas, kidneys, and as a fomentation. And so inflammation, pleurisy, that's where the lining of the lungs is sore, and every time you breathe it hurts. You can put it as a poultice there. Any sores or wounds, it's just going to burn, but it'll make it better.
فيعني احنا بس ما نقلقش لو هي كانت بس بتلسع او بتحرق على الجلد شويه لانه ده طبيعي بس مش هتأذي. It will not hurt the person, but it might be just.
It might sting, and so one of the things you have to know is that you don't want to use it too often on the skin because it can make eruptions or a rash. So you just have to be careful with that because it's very strong.
طيب احنا محتاجين نعرف الكميه اللي لازم نستخدمها ممكن.
If you put 1 teaspoon in 1 cup of boiling water and let it cool, of course, and then take 15 milliliter doses. And as I mentioned, if you have bleeding, you can put it right on the wound and it will stop the bleeding. I had a tooth pulled and it was bleeding, and I just went home and put some cayenne on it. It burned, but it stopped the bleeding. It was gone. So as you mentioned, it's hot, so we do have some warnings. So we can't use it internally excessively either because it can damage kidneys and it can lead to problems with the stomach. And so people have asked me about eating it all the time in their food. And I tell them, well, this is kind of a test. Does it hurt going in? No, it doesn't hurt going in. Does it hurt coming out the other end of your intestinal? And he said, yes. And I said, then it's hurting all the way. So it really should be kept for a medicine and not for just putting a lot on your food. So that's something we need to be careful with.
تمام. طيب ايه الانواع الثانيه؟ عايزين نعرف اكتر اعشاب ممكن نستخدمها.
Okay, number 3 is garlic. And it's very familiar and everybody loves it in this part of the world. Me too. And it's a very powerful antiseptic, and it can kill many things. Even it's been compared to penicillin, and equal to penicillin in some studies. So, yet no side effects. Nobody's, or very few, are allergic to it like they are penicillin. And it's easy to get. It grows many places, and we can get it.
طيب عايزين نعرف أكتر إزاي نستخدم الثوم داخليا عشان نعالج.
Garlic detoxifies the whole body, and it protects against infection, and it can also increase our immune system. So it's a very important herb to use. It's good for every infection and even some diseases. It's beneficial for blood circulation, the heart action. It can bring relief to many body complaints. It's useful for all lung and respiratory ailments, colds, tuberculosis even, fevers, and blood diseases. And it can be used as a tea or added to syrups for cough medicine.
من الواضح إن الثوم فيه حاجات كتير مفيدة. عايزين نعرف أكتر.
If we use it, we can even use it as a tea for an enema. For worms and other bowel infections. And of course we can eat it raw, and we just eat the raw clove. It's useful for arterial sclerosis or atherosclerosis, cancer, contagious diseases, coughs, cramps, diverticulitis, which are little pockets in the intestines that cause trouble, emphysema, gas, heart problems, high blood pressure, indigestion, liver congestion, rheumatism, pain in the joints, sinus congestion, parasites, and ulcers. And it aids in the treatment of arthritis, asthma, circulatory problems, colds, flu, digestive problems, heart disorders, insomnia, liver diseases, sinusitis, ulcers, and yeast infection.
واو ده زي يعني مضاد حيوي طبيعي. It's the normal antibiotic and
Yes, because it kills viruses and bacteria and yeasts and fungus. What else is there? And we can also use it externally.
على الجلد من برا نقدر نستخدمه كمان.
For instance, warts. If somebody has warts on their hand or something, we can use it for that, and it's very helpful for that. The dose, you can make it into a juice, by the way, if you're going to use it medicinally. Make it into a juice and use, depending on the person, 10 to 30 drops, 3 to 4 times a day, and I would dilute it with water.
ورجعنا لكم أحبائنا تكملة البرنامج معاكم عن الأعشاب، وحابين برضو نرحب مرة تانية بيكي بعد الفاصل. أهلا وسهلا دكتور جويس. ودلوقتي حابين نتكلم عن الأعشاب وفايدتها لأجسادنا كعلاج، مش بس كتوابل أو تتبيل للطعام. فدلوقتي هنكمل مع دكتور جويس. تحبي تقولي لنا عن إيه تاني من الأعشاب المهمة؟
So we're going through those first 5, and so number 5 is something that's very familiar, and that's peppermint or mint.
طب احنا عارفين النعناع العادي، بس ايه النوع التاني ده؟
Well, it's from the same family. It's got menthol in it, and so there's spearmint, there's peppermint, there's mint, and we just say mint for the whole family. But they have many of the same properties.
تمام، يعني نقدر نستخدم النعناع العادي بتاعنا. تمام. طيب حابين نعرف هو طعمه حلو.
Yes, we like it.
وهيبقى مرغوب أكتر يمكن من الثوم أو من بعض الأعشاب التانية، بس إزاي نقدر نستخدمه كعلاج لنفسنا بقى في البيت؟
Actually, it slightly anesthetizes the mucous membranes and the gastrointestinal tract. That's why when you have a stomachache and you take maybe some mint tea, it makes your stomach feel better because it actually gets rid of the pain. And if you take it, if you can't sleep, it helps for insomnia, measles, menstrual cramps, migraines, morning sickness for pregnant ladies, muscle spasms, nausea, nervous disorders, chills, colic, which is your bowel getting in a tight knot, fevers, dizziness, gas, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dysentery, heart trouble, poor appetite, rheumatism, spasms, and hysteria.
طيب كمان مهدئ للأعصاب كمان.
It also, this is interesting because it increases the stomach acidity. Now, some people think they get a stomachache because they have too much acid, but actually we need the acid to digest our food. And so people who are used to taking antacids, they're probably not digesting their food well because it can bring your acidity in your stomach down to 5%, which is like khal. It's like vinegar. So if you put a piece of meat in vinegar, will it digest? No. So you have to be very careful about taking antacids. So it does increase the stomach acidity, but it helps in digestion that way. For irritable bowel syndromes that a lot of people get, it's helpful for that. And if person is vomiting because they're nervous, then it can also help with ceasing the vomiting. And when you think of other things that we drink, mint, drinking mint is much better than tea and coffee.
صحيح.
For us.
صحيح. أفيد بكتير. طيب إزاي نستخدمه خارجيا بقى؟ يعني هو ليه استخدامات كتير داخلية بس خارجيا.
If you get itchy skin, it helps with that. Toothache. It's also a local anesthetic to local pains and inflamed joints. You can, put it in a towel or something and put it on an inflamed joint. If you have the oil or even the herb itself, you can put it in steaming water and breathe it in, and that will help open up the sinuses and especially if you breathe through both your mouth and nostrils, really get it in there. It helps. And like we showed for steam inhalation, you cover your head with a towel, let that steam come up as you breathe it, and it's very helpful.
طب الكمية قد إيه ممكن نستخدمها من النعناع؟ لأن هو حاجة حلوة فممكن نستخدم كتير، فعايز نعرف الكمية المطلوبة قد إيه. What the dose we should use, because it's something we loved and we don't know how much we can get from.
We can easily infuse it, and that means you put the herb in a cup, say, and pour boiling water over it, and you steep it or let it sit for 5 to 15 minutes. And then you can take, from that, you can take maybe 200 milliliters 3 times a day if you're having a problem. So it's very easy to do. If you're doing dry herbs, you can use less. If you're using the fresh herb, use more to taste. It's
تمام. طيب واضح إن الأعشاب كلها اللي موجودة سهلة ومتوفرة. فإيه تاني ممكن نستخدمه كعلاج من الأعشاب؟
Okay, I'm going to give you the number that's given, because they had list 126. So
أكيد طبعا.
what's the next one that we're familiar with in this part of the world? And that's number 16, which is flax seed. Now, it's a seed, so sometimes we don't even think of it as a herb, but it's very important because it's slippery, kind of like ملوخية.
صحيح.
Slippery. And that's good for a variety of problems. And it's better than olive oil for these problems that we're going to mention. It can affect the throat, the lungs, the stomach, and the intestines. And internally, we can use it for asthma, bronchitis, catarrh, constipation, coughs, diarrhea, enteritis, which is an inflammation of our colon, flatulence, which is another fancy word for gas, hemorrhoids, lung and chest problems, pleurisy, that's again when you breathe and it hurts, stomach ulcers, and it's good for all intestinal inflammations because it's so slimy or so like just slides through and covers everything and is healing. So that's why it's so good for the intestinal tract and the stomach.
خصوصا إن هي بتستخدم للحالتين، للإمساك وللإسهال. فدي كمان حاجة.
That's right.
يعني
because if we eat the seeds intact, that's very good to keep moving things along, and it solves the problem of constipation. And if we do that, we can take 1 to 2 tablespoons and swallow it with lots of water. I like to just use it on your food, sprinkle over your soups or salads or beans, something like that, and eat it. It's fine. If you want to get the benefit of the omega-3 oil that's inside, you can grind it first and eat it too, and it even ground it helps conquer constipation as well.
ممتاز. من الواضح إنه ليه استخدامات كتير داخلية جوه الجسم. طب إزاي ممكن أستخدمه استخدام خارجي كمان؟
Poultices. If you have a poultice of charcoal, for instance, you can mix it with flaxseed, and it's very good for that. It's excellent for sores, boils, inflammations, tumors. And oozing sores and burns. You can imagine if it's nice and slimy, how good it would feel on a burn. So, and all intestinal inflammations. And also, there's a remedy for gallstones with flaxseed, which is very interesting. This is what the book said. I haven't tried it myself. I don't have gallstones, but if somebody does, you might want to try it. You take 1.5 tablespoons of flaxseed oil. Now, this is the oil. Which you can get in this part of the world too. Lie down on your left side for half an hour. The gallstones will pass into the intestines and be eliminated from there. How easy is that? So, otherwise, your major dose is an infusion, which is you put the seeds in a container and pour boiling water over it, and you steep it for 5 to 15 minutes. I would use like 1 or 2 tablespoons per cup of water. And if you have something like diverticulitis where your bowel has little pockets and seeds really bother it, then strain out the seeds and just drink the
water,
the gelatin kind of water, and it will give you the same benefit.
ممتاز. طيب إيه تاني من الأعشاب احنا
Number
شكلنا مش
17.
هنشبع من المعلومات القيمة دي عن الأعشاب. واضح إنه كلها حاجات موجودة كمان.
Number 17 is ginger. So this is another very good one because it affects the stomach, the intestines, joints, muscles, and circulation. And internally, it promotes cleansing through perspiration even. And if it's taken hot, the tea is good for people who have a suppressed menstrual cycle. It can actually bring that on. And scanty urine, it can help with that as well. And it stimulates digestion.
تمام. طب أنا كنت سمعت إنه الجنزبيل ممكن يكون مؤثر سلبي على الناس اللي عندهم ضغط دم عالي. هل ده صحيح؟
Not this one. There is an herb that we're going to talk about that does. As far as I know, it's not mentioned that it can raise the blood pressure. But if somebody is sensitive, it does raise the body temperature. So maybe in that respect, if it raises it too much, your blood pressure may go up. You could always check if a person has difficulty with blood pressure. It's always good to check how you personally react to any herb. If a person gets seasick or air sick or any kind of motion, you know, in a car going around mountain curves or something, this is very good for that. It's without peer.
تمام. طب الكمية قد إيه اللي ممكن نستخدمها وتكون معقولة للعلاج؟
You can make thin slices of ginger or you can grate it into a cup. I like to use, you know, something like that and put it in a cup of water, steep it for 5 to 15 minutes and take just sips of it every 2 hours for nausea and vomiting. Otherwise, sometimes I just like to drink it because it has a little bit of a pick-me-up. I like to put a little lemon in it and just drink it instead of water during the day. And it cleanses the colon and it fights inflammation, it reduces spasms. It's even good for contagious diseases, and it's an antioxidant and germ killer for wounds. So it's really a good herb.
أكيد. وشكرا جزيلا على المعلومات القيمة اللي حضرتك تابعتينا بيها النهاردة. ونحب نذكر أحبائنا المشاهدين إنه لهنا انتهت حلقتنا معاكم النهاردة عن الأعشاب. حابين نسمع تعليقاتكم واستفساراتكم من خلال الإيميل اللي بيظهر قدامكم على الشاشة. تابعونا وكونوا معنا في حلقات جاية إن شاء الله. نترككم في رعاية الله.